La la la. All right. Testy, testy, test, 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 testy, 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 test. Hey, gang, can you hear me, see me? And probably can't see the iPad right now. Let me fix that. There we are. That one, that one, that one, and that one. Then that one, tap that one, tap that one. And we should be there. All right, Gangaroo, can you now, let's just double check. You can see the, we're a minute early. So for those of you who are joining the replay, just fast forward a minute or so while we're testing everything out. Fantastic. Thanks, everybody. Excellent. Boy, what have I got myself in for today? It's going to be a bit crazy. Good. Awesome. Oh, there I am. I can see me. All right, good. We'll just give everybody a few more, about 30 seconds more, and then we're going to get cracking on today's challenge live, which is called The Plan. Boy, are we going to have a fun 60 days or so. Well, you're going to have a fun 60 days. All right, well, let's get into it. All right, welcome to this week's challenge update, a very special challenge update because it signals the next stage of the new challenge. Over the next 60 days or so, we'll be doing a number of things. We will be, in fact, let's go to that page. Today, we're going to talk about the, how intense the challenge will be this next 60 days. We'll be taking you through how do you pick a plan, not just for this 30 days, but how do you pick a plan in general? How do you decide what roadmap you're going to use to build your business? It's crucial. And in some ways, picking the wrong roadmap can really stuff you up before you start. And the alternate is picking the right roadmap can make this all the better as well. So the next question is this for you? Okay, so that's whether the intense challenge is for you. Because, when we look at what we're going to be doing, so between now and October 15, it's all going to be about prep and getting your affairs in order. And then from October 15 for 30 days, is going to be the intent where literally my goal is to build a business based on a plan that you guys vote for. All right. So we're going to be doing all of that as well. So let's have a look at the plan. So stage one of this entire exercise is literally picking a plan. And not only do I want to take you through the process of how I'm going to pick the plan, well, actually, more accurately, you're going to pick the plan. But I want to teach you a lesson today about understanding how to judge whether a particular roadmap or plan is right for you. Now, the terminology I use is roadmaps or plans because, unfortunately, if I call them courses, right, then unfortunately, the expectation for most of you, the reality for most of you is that you haven't completed most courses that you've ever taken or bought. When I was doing a survey the other day on a little live broadcast, I asked people how many courses they had bought in their time. And, I think the average was at least 5 or 6, right? So it's very important for me to frame this correctly. And that's why we use roadmaps far more importantly, because a roadmap, if you pull out a roadmap, you have the full intention of getting to the destination. You need to get to Palm Springs by nightfall to check into your hotel, right? You need to take your kids to that soccer tournament on the other side of town. So you need to make sure you get there, right? That's a roadmap. When you pull out a roadmap, your expectation is 100% you are going to get where you are going. Now, there are different quality roadmaps, right? There's like verbal directions that somebody gives you on a street corner as you wind down the window and say, hey, I'm lost. And they go, yeah, no problem. Take a left here, take a right up there. You'll see the funny looking building on the white building. You can see the whole sort of thing there on the left-hand side, and you go past the stadium, right? That is one sort of roadmap. The second sort of roadmap is the type of roadmap which is very detailed, right? So it's a roadmap that is like like remember the good old directories, street directories that we used to have before GPS. And then there's the third type of roadmap, right, which is the constantly updating roadmap, where you've got a GPS and you're getting constant updates, and maybe you're even being told, hey, there's traffic ahead, or the route that we normally have is blocked off because they're doing roadworks and you need to go around this way. You can do all of those sorts of things. So this is all of these are factors when we go about picking a plan. And so as we look at that, we're going to look at all of the factors for picking a roadmap for going forward. Indeed, for you, for choosing what I'm going to be doing on October 15. Then stage 2 is all about getting my affairs in order, right? So if you're going to do an intensive challenge, an intensive launch, an intensive any project or exercise, you might be launching a new product, you might be doing any number of things, but you just don't wake up and you do it. Just like you don't wake up and say, I'm going to play violin in Carnegie Hall, or I'm going to run the Berlin Marathon, right? You just don't wake up and do those things and then go out the next day. Well, you can, but then you'll fail miserably and be a total embarrassment. And indeed, when people buy courses, that's often what happens, right? There's no preparation. There are all of these, areas. For you, there are 3 E's that you need to prepare. For me, I have a 4th one because, hey, let's up the degree of difficulty, right? So it's all about energy. Do you have your health situation in order? Do you have your sleep situation in order? Because if you don't have those 2 things in order, it doesn't matter how good the roadmap is. If you haven't got fuel for the car, you're not going anywhere. Right? It's that simple. Are the tires pumped up? Is there fuel in the tank? Have you got, washing fluid in the washer tank? If you don't have that, have you got wheels on? Like a lot of people jump in their car and there are no wheels. It's up on bricks, right? That's a real problem. So we need to make sure whenever we're looking at an intensive effort, it starts weeks before, just like you train for a concert, just like you rehearse for a play, just like you have a program for a marathon. Why is business any different? Why is putting in a significant effort in anything any different? In every other discipline known to man, it's expected that there is preparation time, except apparently when we're in the making money and building businesses era, where everything happens like magic. But of course, you and I both know that it's not magic. It's all effort, energy, and being smart about things. The second thing is we need to get our environment in order. We need to have a place where we can focus on game time. This has been a huge discovery, and we've been working a lot and doing a lot of work on this in my day job, which is Niche Style Academy. And with the academy, a key element that we discover that is absolutely directly related to people's experience is that if you haven't got an environment specifically dedicated to your academy project, in this particular case, your likelihood of success goes downhill dramatically. Now, that environmental thing differs exponentially for people. For some people, it's a coffee shop. For some people, it's a special place in their house. For some people, it's a co-op shared space. That's what they call them these days, right? Serviced offices in the old days is what we used to call them, but that's far too staid and non-millennial. So but whatever the environment, you need to carve out a little environment, which when you enter this environment, it's game time. Right? Just like the marathoners have a course, the violinist has Carnegie Hall, the rehearsal space knows that when they go into the stage and when they're doing dress rehearsals, it's game time. You need to have that environment, because if you try to do any of these intense sort of exercises in an environment not designed for it, not set up for it, you are up against the wall before you even start. And these things are just so crucial, right? So crucial, right? Yet, when do you ever hear anybody talk about this stuff? Well, you don't. That's why you're here, right? Although, of course, if you're in the academy, you hear about all these things all the time. But environment is huge. The third E is engagements. This doesn't happen in a vacuum. If you're going to put in an intensive effort, you have to step back way ahead of time and go, well, what's going on? What's going in my life? What's going on in family? What's going on with the rest of the world? What public holidays are there? What other expectations, what other commitments do you have during the period of time that you are going to do this sprint? Oh, by the way, you'll hear me say sprint a lot, and that is an agile programming term, and we use Kanban or Kanban, I should say, Kanban is the Australian version, pronounced in the way it should be in Japanese. It's Kanban, but anyway, doesn't matter what you call it. But point being is that a sprint refers to a particular dedicated period of time where there is a deliverable, a customer-facing deliverable that's expected to be. So in this case, it's a business. People will give me money by the end of the 30 days. So it's very, very important that I understand that there's this sprint period. But October 15 to November 15 is stuff happens, and I just think about, if I just think about in my own life, I've got Annabelle's birthday is in that time. She'd be a bit annoyed if I didn't show up for her birthday or plan her birthday. There's public holidays, big public holidays in Australia. Well, in Victoria in particular, we have a holiday for a horse race. The Melbourne Cup, believe it or not, we take 4 days off for this horse race. Extraordinary, really. So I've got to keep that in mind. That's going to be happening right smack in the middle of this sprint. Just because I'm building a life-saving business doesn't mean that the rest of the world, or I can neglect my family during that time. I don't have that option. So that is something that I have to consider. And then I look at, and then I've got clients. I've got people that I consult with on a one-on-one basis. They probably would, because they're so awesome, but I'm not going to not consult with them during this month just because I'm doing this insane build a business in 30 days. So there are all sorts of engagements that I have to plan for, right? And figure out what times do I have available. A lot of these plans are intense. They will require many hours a day. And so that is going to be a big, big deal. All right. So, pardon me, all of those are issues. Now, I have one more that I have to do. And I mention this because anybody who, a challenge is a great thing to do in any niche, but I have to also plan to educate during that time. I will be live streaming. I will be doing podcast updates, right? I need to keep you guys up to date with what I'm doing. That's the commitment, right? So this is a learning exercise as well. And my hope is that a lot of you will join with me. You may choose a slightly different plan that's more appropriate to you, or you may even use my plan that I'm doing. Whatever, doesn't matter. But, I would like to think that you guys will do this along with me. And then, of course, the final stage is execution. But we'll get, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So I've mentioned about picking the plan, and this is the guts of today. There are 3 things that I think you need to look at when you are considering picking a plan for yourself. And the first thing is, where is it on the hard spectrum? Now, I'm not going to talk much more about that because I've got a whole piece on that coming up in just a moment. Then you've got to look at the situation. What is your situation? Remember, the situation that we are creating, the conceit for this whole challenge, is that I have lost all my money. I'm in debt. I have no credit cards. I have no reputation. I have 0 list, right? That is all of these 30 plans, which you all are going to evaluate, are all designed with that in mind, right? It's designed to get up and recovered inside of 30 days. But you have to look at the situation, right? So that requires a level of intensity. Like if you've been wiped out and you've got commitments, you've got school fees, you've got mortgages, you've got everything like that, that is a different level of intensity. Most people's intensity when they're doing this project, the reality of it is it's the last thing that gets done, right? Every other part of your life has priority over building this business. For many of you, that's quite cool, is it's a hobby. The reality is it's a hobby. You may talk differently, but the reality is when you look at your actions, when you literally shine a light on how much work you are doing to create a business, the reality is it's more like, it's like me, turning up to play golf once every 3 months and no practicing and no, I will get a certain level of result based on the fact that I don't practice and the fact that I just rock up and, dust off the equipment and hit a ball, right? Commensally, funnily enough, I rarely break 100 these days. So there you go. So you've got to understand your time. You've also, and I'm very excited by all of the, because this particular conceit, this is a bad situation, right? So our Maslow pyramid, which is the other thing that I've got here, we talk about Maslow's pyramid a lot. And a lot of people who are in dire situations if you don't tackle whether you've got food, whether you've got shelter, whether you're going to pay the rent. If you don't tackle those things first, you are not going to be able to build a business. It's impossible. And what I'm really, really thrilled about, because I thought they may skip this. I genuinely was really worried that they may skip this. Every single author of every single one of these plans understands that this is a crucial part of this process. And each of them has many, many different ways of dealing with the same thing, getting your Maslow foundation right so you can actually go forward. So that is an important thing. The third part of this, I've called it good cheating, right? Positive cheating, cheating for good, right? Why pick something that is genuinely, like, for example, in the 10 plans that are going to be released tomorrow, one of them is a party plan. And I don't know if you know parties, but like Tupperware is the original. I think that's probably the original party plan, right? There's, all sorts of different things now that, use parties, gathering friends around and having fun parties and buying stuff, right? That's genuine business, absolutely a legit thing to do, and definitely something that you could consider if you're in this dire 30-day situation. But let me tell you right now, I am not doing party plans. Okay. That is not me. That is not appropriate, right? It is no way that is going to be one of the plans that I'm going to do, because I hate people, not you guys, but I hate everybody else. The last thing I want to do is have people in my home and selling them something. Not for me. But for another people, if you're an outgoing, gregarious person and you've got a wide network of friends, it could be the perfect thing for you, right? For me, though, it makes my blood curdle at the very thought of it. But that's the point of looking at a plan. Why force yourself to do something? There are video plans, right? There are plans where you are doing daily influencing, where you're doing video, not dissimilar to what I'm doing now. Now, of course, I love those plans because I'm very comfortable. I love doing this. This is some of my favorite stuff that I do, right? You don't, I don't have to have my arm twisted to broadcast to you guys each week. It doesn't, I really enjoy this, okay? So those sort of plans, they suit me. Now, you see the word Kolbe here. Kolbe, and if you do yourfirstdollar.com Kolbe yourfirstdollar.com/Kolbe, there's a great explanation of what Kolbe is. But it's a report that I get everybody in the academy to do, because for entrepreneurs, it's really interesting. There are 3 sort of major profiles for entrepreneurs. And interestingly, of the entire thousands and thousands of potential profiles, entrepreneurs tend to fall in one of 3 categories, right? And it's fascinating. And that's about 5% of the population that are entrepreneurial sort of profiles. And it's fascinating. And what's really interesting about Kolbe is it's not an emotional thing or an IQ thing. It tells you how you act. And if you think about it for a second, there are certain things that you gravitate towards. Like people who tend to be really good at video like this, who enjoy doing video, tend, not all the time, not 100%, but a vast majority, when you ask them to write a 300-word article, now that's where you have to twist their arm, right? All of these are part of the process, right? So all of these are part of that. So Kolbe is a way of looking at that. Experience. What experiences have you had? You've had a life to this point. It makes sense, doesn't it, to choose a plan where you already have some potential skills, okay? If you have no skills, I disagree with that. You may have low self-esteem. That's a different issue. But the reality is there are times in your life where you have been productive and you've been good at things. Everybody has something that they're good at. And so it makes sense that if you're going to do good cheating for good, why not take some of that experience? Notice I didn't say experience in a topic, because that's not a necessary prerequisite. But if you do have some real experience in a topic and your life, let's think about this, the situation I'm in. My life is on the line, my reputation ruined. I'm in massive debt, no credit cards, no list. All right. So I am going to pick something that is going to, at least that I've got the experience. You can take all those things away from me. You can take away my dignity, but you cannot take away my experience. Now, the gravity of the situation may overwhelm you and you forget about your experience because you're in this Maslow's overwhelmed situation. But like I say, what I'm really proud of is each of these plans has a way of dealing with that, so you can actually clear your mind enough to go forward. And that's exciting. And let's not forget, what assets do we have? What courses have you bought and maybe you haven't picked up or had a look at in a while, or any of those things? You have assets of some kind. Do you have an iPad? Do you have a smartphone? What do you have that's an asset that you can utilize? Are you near a public library? Can you borrow ebooks? All of these things, right, are assets that you potentially have. And again, when our back's against the wall, we tend to forget, we lose that clarity of thinking about what assets that we have. So all of those things are useful in picking a plan. Now, let's stop for a second. Let's get your feedback. What's been the aha for you so far during this presentation? Now, and of course, if you are on live, you can use the chat window. And if you are watching the replay, leave a comment below. And by the way, don't forget to hit that thumb button, bash that bell, bro. And if you've bashed the bell once, you don't need to bash it again, okay? Once it's lit up, you don't need to bash the bell continuously. But hit that like button. That would be nice. So let us know here let's just do a check-in in the chat. I'd rather have my fingernails pulled out than do house parties. Yeah, but for some people, they would love that. What else have we got? The 3 C's will let us know what programs we will need to build a business if we have zero. Well, the assumption with every one of the single of these plans is you have zero. That's the point of the plan, right? Is you don't have a plan, but we'll choose a plan. And if you sign up, you've got 30 plans over the next 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. We'll go into this in a lot of detail. And can't take away experience. That is so true, right? So all of these things are really, really important. Such as, do we need a mail server? Who knows? It depends on the plan. I have no idea. It'll depend on the plan. You'll need to have a look at each plan. And each plan is so detailed, they even have a resources section about this sort of things. But remember, we're broke. Our credit cards have been cut up. Our list is gone. Our reputation is in the toilet. Somebody says ClickFunnels. Well, guess what? You can't afford ClickFunnels. You're going to have to figure out a way to afford how to get ClickFunnels before you start, right? You don't just have ClickFunnels, right? You've got nothing. You have been burnt to the ground, right? So that is it. So that is such a big deal. All right. So that is such a huge deal with that. Okay, let's move on. I wanted to explain something to you about the stretch. This is a really important concept. So when you're looking at picking a plan, what tends to happen with most people is they tend to go straight to hard. Okay, so let's have a look at hard here. You haven't done it. Nobody else has done it, and there's no roadmap, right? That's the ultimate in hard, right? That's the ultimate in hard. So if you've never done, if you haven't done it and you can't find anybody who hasn't done it and there's no roadmap, then it's why even think about doing that way, right? So that is important. Betty, I know for a fact that there's only one funnel on day 10, which I've already written about, which assumes that you have ClickFunnels. By the way, there are ways to get ClickFunnels for free. So that is not the case. It's because the first plan talks about getting a list of 30,000. Yeah, they're going to collect a list of 30,000. So they have to build that. And yes, they'll need a thing, but they'll have to did you miss the part where the guy sold his car to get the money? You missed that bit, right? Got to look at this. You got to look at this, right? Doesn't come easy, right? But if you don't open yourself up, and be open, if you're constantly looking at these things going, I don't have this, I don't have that, I don't have this, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You have to read everything. You have to, and I'm going to give you some tips for reading the plan in just a minute as well. But most people go straight to hard, or the next step below hard is you haven't done it. Somebody else has done it, but the roadmaps aren't clear. The stretch, which I think is the sweet spot for most people, is you haven't done it, but others have. And most importantly, you have an appropriate roadmap. And guess what? Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, you're having 30 roadmaps by people who've earned $1 million in the last, well, I imagine 24 months would be the longest period of time. Right, that's something, because they're all 2 Comma Club, which has been going for about 2 years. So it's all 2 Comma Club people. So there's no plan in here from a person who hasn't been verified by ClickFunnels as building $1 million worth of revenue through each of these things. Okay, so that is pretty darn cool. The other thing, which is not so appropriate now, let me undo that, is often when I'm working with businesses, I find people doing stuff that's too easy that they need to outsource. That's not a problem for us here. But when you're choosing a roadmap for you for going forward, I'd like to think that you're going to pick a roadmap too, and that you're going to do that. You may not be able to do it as intensely as I will be because you've got a 9 to 5 job, but I'm only going to be, I'll tell you all about the rules that I'll be doing as we go forward in preparation for this. So all of these sorts of things are important. Don't worry, I'll give you a link to the roadmaps in just a moment. So let's get into this. So what's going to happen this week? Let's talk about specifics. What are we going to be doing? On Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, Russell will be releasing 10 plans a day. They will be live for 24 hours only. Then they'll be taken down. You can get them for free, but they will be taken down 24, right? 24 hours, 10 per day. So you need to make sure you log in and you get those plans. I personally paid the $100 so I could get a full archive. I've already got access to all of the plans. In fact, I've already, where are we? Where's my iBooks? I'll show you. Actually, they're probably syncing up here. There's the violin syllabus. That's for Annabelle's. Okay, thank you. Come on, little buddy. Come on. This was a great idea. Come on, little buddy. Let's try that again. Yeah, see, so I've already loaded up the plans, right? So I've got everything ready. I've loaded in all these plans. I actually use it on my 10-inch iPad, but you can see all the plans. I've downloaded the first 10 for Monday, right? If you haven't paid the $100, you don't get the plans until tomorrow, right? The 17th, right? Monday the 17th. For those of you watching in Australia, of course, that means overnight, Monday into Tuesday. All right. So that's the thing there. Wet Laser, I got the link immediately too. So you'll need to check your spam folders, etc., etc. All right, cool. So Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we will be getting those plans. Now, what I would love you to do is evaluate those plans. So comment and review your favorite plans on the Facebook group. Okay. So talk about which plans you liked. What did you think were good? Did you notice one where, like, there's definitely one I found on day 10, not 4, one on the first day that assumed you had ClickFunnels, right? So what things do you think, which plan is the best for you? What do you think? Which plan would you like me to see? I'd love to hear why you would like me to pick a plan and why. From those 10 plans, I will be picking 3 for you to vote on. Okay. So each day there will be a top 3 which we'll vote on. Why am I picking 3 for you to vote on? And I'll only do that after I review all of your comments. Okay. So you are actually getting, it's very important. Your posts and reviews matter. Like if I see a lot of people saying, oh, I really want Ed to do this plan, then I'll seriously, consider that getting into the top 3 that I pick. Okay. So that is another big part of this. All right. So make sure. Why do I do that? Very simple. It's the Bodie McBodie face problem. Right. If you just let people pick wildly, people are funny. They have a laugh. And I know for a fact that, and I have some friends who are very, very clever, who would think nothing and would think it so funny if I picked an ecom plan or I picked a house party plan. They would think that is the funniest thing in human history, right? So I've got to make sure that the plans fit these criteria for me. They work with my Colby. They work with my experience, okay? I have no assets because I've been wiped out, but so I'm not going to pick something which is, 100, like a 9 fact finder is going to be great at. If you're a 9 fact finder, you should pick that one for sure. But I'm not going to do that. So that's why I'll pick 3 from each day, but I will be heavily influenced. The more you participate in the Facebook group, the more reviews of plans you do. Oh, by the way, absolutely. And I will literally kick you out of the group without appeal. no posting of the PDF plans on our group, please. The Russell and the ClickFunnels organization has put in enormous effort. And if a person can't be bothered to log on for free in the allotted 24 hours and not get a plan, tough toenails. All right. It's not on, right? It's absolutely not on. Okay. So, and it will just be instant removal from the group, and without remorse and with no appeal, right? It is not on. Okay. Not fair. So apart from that though, feel free to comment on the plans, which ones you like, which ones you don't, right? Put up review posts of the plans, all those sorts of things, just not the plans themselves. Okay. And if I see somebody requesting a plan, I will also just strike them out of the group instantly. Okay. Because it's just not on, right? If you couldn't be bothered to take the gift horse of 10 amazing plans a day for the next 3 days, and you can't be bothered to log on and download them, then why are you here? Why are you part of this? You know, it just makes no sense. All right. Anyway, off my high horse. On Friday, I will do my top 9 reveal. So we'll have our reveal of the top 9, and then I'll tell you about the voting process, because I want to make sure I know which plan I'm going to be working on by this time next week. In fact, we'll have the ultimate reveal of which plan I'll be working on this broadcast next week. So put it in your calendar, tune into the broadcast next week, where we will have the grand reveal of the actual plan I will be doing. Okay. And then from then on, it's all about moving to stage 2, which I'll use all the time between now and October 15 for preparation, getting my environment right, getting my energy levels right, getting my, environment, energy levels. What are my engagements? Getting my calendaring right, figuring out how I'm going to do this and work well. I'm going to do the plans step by step, right? So, I've got to, what if they're saying get up at 4:15 a.m., I will get up at 4:15 a.m. That's the deal, right? So that is what I'm going to be doing. So keep that in mind. All right. So that is the plan. Now, for those of you who are on the broadcast, to access the plans, yourfirstdollar.com/30 days. yourfirstdollar.com/30 days. You can sign up for free. There is $100, upsell, if you like. And I think it's incredible value, right? You get a hardcover book, right? A full hardcover book with all of these 30 plans. And I think it was Betty who mentioned this, just the resources section in each one of these plans. There's so many cool tools, which I did not know about, right, that are in the resources section of each of these plans, right? So you get this hardcover book. That's worth $100 by itself, which is great. You also get the archive. So you've got access to these plans at any time now or in the future. Plus, there's these really interesting behind the scenes videos talking, 30-minute videos, which talk about the plan is one thing. That's in it because you can read the plan. Personally, what my approach is to read the plans and watch the behind the scenes video, because they're much more interesting in terms of the thought process. What were their thought processes going into them? The video where they're going over their plans, it's sort of like, well, if you're a visual learner, that might be really useful for you. Okay, so that is a big part of it. So you can do that, but if you decide not to do that, the third thing, by the way, is from October 15 to the whenever it is, November 15-ish, I imagine 30 days is, Russell's team is actually going to be coaching you through your funnel process. Okay, so they call it a funnel, obviously, because anything that takes people from not knowing about something through to buying something is a funnel of some kind. So they're going to be coaching you through based on these plans. So you're going to have that as a resource and an asset all through the month of October. So you'll have them for help, and I won't be helping a lot of people during the month of October because I'll be working my ass off. Because the cool part, and I know what I'm getting into, so this is fine. By the way, I should have really mentioned that. There is a fourth part of this is reward. What reward are you going to give yourself for doing this? That's really important. Me personally, I'm going to Japan, right? So I am going to literally, the moment this 30-day thing finishes, I am going to book myself a flight to Japan for a week to chill out and regroup, right? So I'm not going to be doing a lot of help, but the ClickFunnels has an entire team of people who will be there on standby helping you through this entire process. They've got a forum, they've got the whole box and dice. So that is really, really cool. So it's completely up to you. Like I said, the plans are free, but you will, if you take the free option, then you have to schedule it, put alarms, everything else. Monday 17th, Tuesday 18th, and Wednesday 19th, 10 plans will be revealed each day, and they're up for 24 hours. And once they're gone, they are gone. All right. So that is the deal. All right. So yourfirstdollar.com/30 days. I'll put a link in the description below for those of you watching on the replay. This is going to be wild. It is going to be absolutely wild. It's going to be right back to the, it's like the original challenge in many, many ways. And, it's good for, why am I doing this? It's good to put yourself through the fire every now and again, right? It's like fasting or there's a reason why people go to spring training and why football players go, have pre-seasons where they smash themselves silly in preparation for the new year. For me, the way I'm looking at this is sort of like my pre-season. So, it's to get energy right, to get engagement right. I will not work this intensely. And a big part of this, and we talk about this a lot in the academy, is after an intensity exercise like this, you have to build in rest, aka in my case, go to Japan. You have to do that. It's very, very important because you can't keep up that level of intensity at all times. So you need to allow for all of that. You need to understand all of that. So all of those things are super duper important. All right, with that, thank you very much, everybody. This is going to be wild. Can't wait in the Facebook group to get your reviews, which I'd love to see your posts on, which plan would you like me to see me do and why, all those sorts of, because I will take those into account. I'm not going to choose the top 3 from each day until you've all had a good chance to have a good look through them. I basically want to make that decision by Friday. So I'll reveal the top 9 on Friday, and then we'll have voting over the weekend, and then I'll do the reveal of which one wins on Monday. Well, actually, it's Monday for me, Sunday for you, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. All right. Yes, even musicians get fit and ready for before touring. Totally. Intensive rehearsals, right? So, why don't we do that for business? That is a big part of it. All right, gang. Thanks very much. It's going to be crazy. It is going to be wild. I hope you join me on the journey. Ciao for now.